The dead guy shows me his death from his perspective, what he saw happen, and then from the perspective of my father-in-law who witnessed his death. We got the call that my father-in-law's time was almost up. We'd known that he was dying, but he was in the active process of dying. And so we got in the car and drove the few hours from Colorado to Wyoming. Not a great relationship. He was one of the most abusive men I've ever known. And that's saying something. So we get up there. He's nonverbal at this point. It's literally, I think he died the next day, so he's very close to death. He was sitting in a chair in the living room in a recliner, and I could see a couple of people with him. One of them I described to my husband. He's like, oh, that's my Grandma Chadwell. That's his mother. The other one was a man dressed in the green army fatigues of the military from Vietnam era. He said his name, and I asked him why he was there, and he said, I'm here to tell him it wasn't his fault. He needs to understand it wasn't his fault. And then he shows me, now I'm just wide awake, I'm sitting there, he shows me in my mind two pictures, or two like short, they were almost like movie clips. One, now we knew that my father-in-law flew helicopters. We knew that he was a gunner on those helicopters sometimes, and they would lay down fire so that our people could get out of bad situations. And this appeared to be one of those. So they had landed in what looked like a small field surrounded by very dense jungle. And I could see men in green army fatigues running toward the helicopter. I could see my father-in-law in an open door with a machine gun, and he's shooting out that door, and he sees one of these service members, who is this man, running toward him. So he turns to lay down cover fire for him, and all of a sudden the man just disappeared. The only thing I could think of is he stepped on a landmine. Warning, if this is too much for you, I'm going to explain a little bit. So it's my understanding that when people step on a landmine, basically there is nothing left but what they call the pink mist. There wasn't that in this situation. I think he might have been too close to the rotors. The down pressure of the air from the rotors dispersed it enough that I didn't see it, or maybe I just didn't see it. But he showed me that he was halfway to getting there, and then he just vanished. Then I saw it from my father-in-law's perspective as the person standing in the doorway shooting the gun. Saw the same thing, that he sees the man running toward him, he turns to lay down cover fire, and he's just gone. In the clip that I saw of my father-in-law, he didn't stop doing his job. He just continued on to cover the next person to try to get on the chopper because his job wasn't done. And there was no way to verify this with him because, again, he wasn't speaking anymore. He was that close to death. So I don't say anything to my husband about this because his father's dying. Whether or not they had a good relationship, there's a lot of stuff that brings up. We finish what we're doing there, and on the drive home that night, this is going to sound nuts, but this man is still hanging out with me. I'm in the passenger seat, and he's sort of hanging out somewhere right here. We're driving 80 miles an hour down the freeway, and there he is. But he's telling me, you have to tell him about me. Talking about my husband. You have to tell him I'm one of the 13. And I'm trying to tell him, yeah, now's not a good time. And he's insistent. And I know better than to just keep putting them off because they'll just keep going until I don't have a choice but to say it. So I think I'm kind of quiet when I'm talking to dead people. And my husband gets a certain feeling when that happens. My husband's an engineer. He doesn't believe in any of this. But he asked me who I was talking to, and I said, it's the same guy from earlier. He said to tell you that he's one of the 13 and that you'll know what that means. Just as I'm saying that, the dead man says, well, 14, and he kind of laughs. As soon as the words are out of my mouth, my husband is freaking out. Like, he pulled the car off to the side of the road, off the freeway. Oh my God, are you kidding me? You know what I'm talking, you know the picture he's talking about, right? And I'm like, no, I don't even know what this means. He's like, it's a picture. I've showed you this picture. I have no idea. If I saw that picture, it would have been flipping through a book of pictures that weren't mine, for which I had no context. So I certainly would have been counting people in a picture. But all that aside, even if that were true. So we get home, my husband goes straight upstairs to his office and starts rifling through this box of old photo albums, the old kind that had the actual printed out photographs on them. And he stops at a page and hands it to me with his finger pointing on one, and he said, this picture. In that picture were 13 people standing around a helicopter. My father-in-law is in that picture, and that man is in that picture. And there's a dog. There were 14 souls in that picture. I can't explain that either. That one actually shook me. That was nuts.